What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to review Nate Parker's movie, Birth of a Nation. And before I get into the movie review, which, by the way, no spoilers, I'm going to just speak on a couple of things first. Initially, I didn't know if I was going to support this movie, and a couple of reasons for that are the following. One is it's a movie about slavery. For me and us, as well as other Black people, slavery is a touchy subject. Also when you're watching the movie, it can be sort of triggering. It can be triggering to see, see things happen during that time period, because when you're looking at it, you're like, that could have been me, if I was born, say, a century earlier instead of a century later, that could have been me. And as well, seeing violence and brutality towards Black people, and as well as sexual assault towards Black people, again, very triggering. So, for me, slavery movies aren't, my favorite movie, but on the other hand, the story needs to be told, So we want people to tell our stories, so we have to support people who do tell our stories, Another reason that I had, hesitations about supporting this movie is because of the, situation with Nate Parker and the allegations of like sexual assault and rape. And, I just want to, preface this, put it out there, disclaimer, like, this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to say that my personal opinion is fact. And as well, respect my personal opinion, just like you want me to respect your personal opinion, right? All right. So basically, long story short, I just found something a little funny about that whole situation with, the rape allegations. I found that situation a little weird. Like, based on what I've heard, it seems like he kind of got off more so on a technicality. But then again, on the other hand, like, to be fair, we don't know the story. Only, like, the people who are involved know the story, and, God. Those are the only folks who know the story. And to be fair, on that hand, also, he was acquitted. But then again, people are like, well, George Zimmerman was acquitted too, which is true, But then some people are like, well, it's two different situations. At this point, I don't see how they are really two different situations, other than, of course, the differences in, murder versus rape. But I'm just saying in general, right? But another story for another day. Let's get into this movie. So, long story short, despite those hesitations and whatnot, I decided to support the movie. All right. So, long story short, I enjoyed the movie. It was better than I thought it was going to be. It was different than I thought it was going to be, too. The movie it paces itself, which is good. A good story is supposed to have great pacing. So the story paces itself really well. Let's see. You get the kind of like when the story's being paced, you get to see the gradual gradual progression of Nat coming to his realization of starting the slave rebellion. Let's see what else. For me, the ending, of course, it reflected reality, the real story, of course. But overall, the ending of the movie, it kind of left me feeling like I wanted more, or like something was missing, or like incomplete. Well, not necessarily incomplete, but I just felt like, hmm, the movie ended on not the best note, but then again, that is, the movie being true to reality. Um, let's see what else I can say about the movie. Let's see. There were some funny moments in the movie too, and also there were some really, violent um, moments in the movie as well. And I'm not sure if the violence I've seen in the movie is true to reality. I'm going to assume that it is. I've heard stories about this, but um, you know, but there's one story where it's like, well, one scene where it's not like a lynching or anything, but it's the slave owner being really, really like brutally violent towards his slave that won't eat. And I was like, wow, like, did that really happen? Um, let's see. As far as like race is concerned in this movie, the black people are the main characters. Well, there are white characters in this movie as well, but ultimately this is Nat's story. As far as I know, let's see. There weren't any like white saviors in this movie. Um, Possibly maybe white allies. I'm not sure. There could have been white allies in this movie. Depending on what you consider an ally. Um, you know, I don't consider Nat Turner's owner to be his ally. Um, I maybe kind of consider the woman who taught Nate to read as possibly being an ally, maybe, you know. um, and also, of course, at one point in the movie, Nat Turner does you know go through with his slave rebellion. But also, I forgot to mention, he like his owner was using him as to earn money through his preaching because Nate wound up learning how to read through like pretty much reading the Bible. Like the lady, I think, who is the mother of, um, I guess the mother of um, the guy who ends up owning Nate, taught Nate how to read, and gave him lessons on how to read. However, they wind up sending him back to the field after um, the owner died. So yeah, so basically Nate learns how to read, and then he starts giving kind of like sermons um, later on in his life because he learns to read as a child, but he winds up giving sermons later on as when he gets older, giving sermons to the slaves. And the white folks are fully in support of that because he's preaching the parts of the Bible that they want him to preach. He's not preaching the parts about an eye for an eye, rise up, and nothing like that. It's more like obey your master, stuff like that. But Nate, he um knows the Bible, so he knows also that basically the Bible is they're picking and choosing what parts of the Bible they want to interpret and want to adhere to. They're not adhering to the whole Bible in totality. They're just picking it apart. And really, you are supposed to be um, you're supposed to be taking the Bible as a whole, not just picking it apart. So that's one of the reasons that Nat wound up going and you know having the slave rebellion and attacking and killing um, racist white folks. However, I noticed that his victims were mostly, I didn't like his victims were males, like white males. I didn't see him killing. I mean, it may have happened in real life, but I didn't see that depicted in the movie. I didn't see him killing women and children. But from what I heard, I think that did happen, but I just don't think it was shown in the movie. And it may, they may have done that because, people are very sensitive to violence towards, women and children. So they may have did that purposely so people don't get too distracted from the main focus. And I think that also came up during his interview with Anderson Cooper. I didn't watch it, I just heard about it. But yeah, I think that wound up coming up too in his interview with Anderson Cooper. And I guess I think I said all I can say without, going into like spoilers or anything. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I liked the role that Nat Turner played in the movie, as well as Nate Parker playing the role of Nat Turner, of course. There's also touching moments with him and with Nat Turner and his mother and his father and his grandmother as well. Unfortunately, the movie is true to reality. So the movie doesn't have, the best ending per se. And really, the story probably, if you think about it, is still going on. Because really, if you think about it, this stuff, same-ish, different day. So it's like, the illusion of freedom, the illusion of inclusion. But really, violence is still being, you know, enacted towards black men. This time instead of like, slave whippings and lynchings, it's like police brutality, being shot. Black women, still are being sexually assaulted. It's quiet as it's kept. And people are still kind of enslaved in a sense because, black people still have to work for more or less white people, you know. Because once slavery ended, it wasn't like, oh, let's give these guys, some help. Let's help them. Let's give them some money and some land and, some farming equipment to help them get on their feet. No, not at all. In fact, from what I heard, the people who lost slaves, like the white men who lost slaves, they were given reparations, not the slaves themselves. So pretty much black people have just had to, really work hard and make something out of nothing, you know. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my review of the movie. As far as like slave movies go, it's pretty much only a couple of slave movies I really want to see at this point. If you are going to do a slave movie, I need them to be about the slave rebellion that led to freedom for Haiti. They can make a movie about that. Folks can make a movie about that one. Also, we can have a slave movie about Harriet Tubman. That's a good one. And I think that's all I can think of at the moment. I feel like I had another example or another movie plot in mind, but I can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, I think those stories are, great stories about slavery that should be told and probably need to be told. So pretty much to sum up my feelings, overall, I supported the movie, and I don't have, you know, any regrets about supporting the movie, you know, and I enjoyed the movie. So if you're looking for a movie, to see, you know, check out Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation, which took its title from that racist movie that was released like way back in like maybe the early 1900s, Birth of a Nation, which I thought was a little strange. I wonder why he did that. But yeah, that's my opinion. So thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.